back to Thursday's maths lesson. So as promised, here are the answers to the questions that I set you on Monday. So pause the video here and just double check your answers. If you need to go and make some corrections, now's the time to do so. Once you've done that, press play to join me for today's lesson. So in today's lesson, we are moving on to something which is a little bit more complicated in fractions. We're going to be looking at comparing fractions. These fractions will have different denominators, so it won't be out of the same amount, but there is, like all of the other fraction lessons, there is a rule to follow. I understand that at home you are filling your brains with lots of rules when looking at fractions, but it will get easier, I promise. So on the board behind me, I have got two fractions. Just to see if you know this already, and for you guys to be able to assess how much you already know, have a look at it. Which fraction is the biggest fraction? So let me tell you a rule. If you didn't already know this, this is going to be something new to you. If you already knew this rule, then you've probably figured out which one is the bigger fraction. The way this works, it's a little bit complicated. The bigger the denominator, so which number is the denominator? The one on the bottom. So the bigger the number on the bottom, the smaller the fraction. And let me just demonstrate that for you with a picture. So we've got two circles. I'm going to draw two circles underneath these fractions. This one here is a half, so we need to split it into two equal pieces and shade in one part. Okay, so that's how much of that shape needs to be shaded in for this fraction here. Which one's got the bigger part shaded in? This one, well done. And look, this denominator is smaller than this piece. And the reason for the rule being, the bigger the denominator, the smaller the fraction, is because if we imagine it as if we've got a pizza, I know I keep referring to pizzas, but I think this is the easiest way. If we've got a pizza and we had 10 friends to share it between, so there's 10 of us who needed to share out the pizza equally, we'd get less of the pizza, wouldn't we, than if there was only 2 people sharing the pizza. Because if there were 2 people sharing the pizza, there would be more of the pizza for each person. But if there was 10 of us eating that same pizza, pizza doesn't grow, it's still going to be the same size, so we'd have to split it into smaller pieces. So let me just remind you of that rule again. The bigger the denominator, the smaller the fraction. So which one is bigger out of these two? Half is bigger, isn't it? So I'm going to draw my crocodile, because remember that the crocodile wants to eat the most he can. So the crocodile's going to definitely pick half of the pizza over 1/6 of the pizza. So I've drawn another question on the board for you to answer. If you'd like to, pause the video here to have a go at answering it before, and then I'll go through it after. So what was our rule that we needed to remember? The bigger the denominator, the smaller the fraction, because we've got to share it out between more people. Okay. Let's draw the circles to help us. So I've split that one into thirds, 1, 2, 3. I know they're not equal, but it's really hard to draw equal parts in thirds. And then we've got 8. A trick for drawing eighths, split it into quarters, and then you're going to draw an X through it. There we go. So over here we've got 1 part of 8 pieces. There we go, so that's how big that fraction is. And over here we've got 1 part of 3 pieces. Which slice is bigger? Which fraction is bigger? Good, third, because the denominator, look, is smaller than over here, so it means that we've got a bigger piece. try not to be tricked by thinking that the fraction with the bigger number on the bottom is the biggest fraction. They're trying to trick you there. It's the opposite. So the fraction with the smallest number as the denominator is always the bigger fraction. Now I'm going to split the board up into 3 sections. These ones over here will be the easiest. Then we've got some questions in the middle, which are the middly questions. And then if you really want to push yourself, we've got some questions over here that will be very tricky. So the questions are on the board behind me. Challenge yourself to as far as you can go. If you want to have a go at trying all of them, that is absolutely fine. Pause the video here and have a go. Cool, let's have a look through these then. Did you remember the rule? Have you been tricked? Hopefully not. Okay, so we've got 1/3. Is it bigger or smaller or even the same as 1/10? Now the rule is the bigger the denominator, the smaller the fraction. So which one's got the bigger denominator? This one. So that must mean that that is the smallest fraction. There we go. Because if we drew a 1/10, let's go on to this one down here. So question 2, we've got 1/2. Is that bigger or smaller than 1/8? Which one have you got to share between more people? This one, because you've got 8 pieces here and you've only got 2 pieces here. So if we drew it, that's a half. And that's an 1/8. If this was pizza, which one would you want to have? I know which one I definitely want to have. I'd want to have this one over here. So that one is the biggest because we've got more of that pizza shaded in. Let's go over here then. 1/8, is that bigger or smaller than 1/5? It is smaller because we've got to share this one between 8 people and this one only between 5 people. Okay, let's go down here. Oh, something sprung up. You should know what this means from our last lesson. This is the same as a whole. Okay, so 2 pieces and we've got 2 parts shaded in. So that one's the whole pizza. If you chose that one, you get the whole pizza. So you get more. 1/8. Let's draw that. Teeny tiny, there we go. Which one's bigger? Which one's got more shaded in? There we go. So this one over here is the biggest. Well done. Okay, over here we've got 1 whole, because remember 4/4 is the same as a whole. And then we've got 2/8. Which one's the biggest? Good, you're definitely going to want to have the whole pizza rather than only having 2/8. Let's go down here. Now this one, they both got the same denominator. So we've got 7/8 and we've got 5/8. Well done if you spotted it. You're going to want 7 pieces of the 8 parts rather than 5 pieces of the 8 parts. Well done. So if the denominator is the same, you need to look at the numerator, and this one is more. Well done if you got those right. Fantastic. I will now insert the questions here for you to have a go at home. If you feel like you need a little bit more practice, just rewatch this video and just remember the rule. The bigger the denominator, so the bigger the number on the bottom, the smaller the fraction, because that means we've got to split it up into more pieces. Pause the video, have a go, and just like in the other lessons, the answers will be in Monday's lesson for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow for a brand new lesson.